The Swahili City-States, a beacon of civilization on the East African coast, from the shores of southern Somalia to the northern reaches of Mozambique, a chain of radiant coastal cities once rose along the Indian Ocean, forming one of Africa's most sophisticated and globally connected civilizations. Known as the Swahili City-States, these independent urban centers flourished between the 8th and 16th centuries, shaping a legacy of trade, culture, faith, and architectural brilliance that still echoes along the East African coast. At the heart of Swahili civilization lay deep African roots. The foundations were unmistakably Bantu, language structures, family systems, agricultural knowledge, and communal values carried by earlier migrations. Yet this indigenous base did not exist in isolation. It encountered the vast currents of the Indian Ocean world, where merchants, sailors, and scholars from Arabia, Persia, India, and beyond met African societies as equals in commerce and culture. From this encounter emerged a uniquely Swahili identity, proudly African, confidently cosmopolitan, and deeply connected to the wider world. The Swahili language itself became the living voice of this synthesis. Kiswahili retained Bantu grammatical structure while absorbing words from Arabic, Persian, Hindi, and later Portuguese, reflecting centuries of interaction and exchange. Today, spoken by more than 200 million people, Kiswahili stands as one of Africa's most powerful cultural legacies and a reminder of East Africa's historical global reach. Along the coast, cities such as Kilwa, Mombasa, Malindi, Lamu, Zanzibar, Gedi, and Pate thrived as autonomous city-states. Though never unified under a single empire, they shared a common cultural fabric shaped by Islam, maritime trade, and urban sophistication. Each city governed itself through sultans or councils, blending African leadership traditions with Islamic political and legal ideas. These were not villages or trading posts, but fully developed urban societies, centers of learning, spirituality, diplomacy, and wealth. The architecture of the Swahili world reflected both elegance and innovation. Coral stone mosques rose beside the sea, their simplicity and symmetry speaking of faith and refinement. Palaces and merchant homes featured carved wooden doors, latticed windows, and shaded courtyards designed for both beauty and climate. The Great Mosque of Kilwa, built as early as the 11th century, stood among the largest stone structures in sub-Saharan Africa, symbolizing the confidence and prosperity of a civilization firmly rooted in its own genius. Trade was the lifeblood of the Swahili coast. These city-states served as vital intermediaries between the African interior and the wider Indian Ocean world. Gold from Zimbabwe, ivory from the forest, iron tools, salt, ebony, sandalwood, and enslaved people passed through Swahili ports to distant markets. In return came porcelain from China, silk and cotton from India, spices, glassware, and finely crafted beads. Archaeological discoveries of Chinese ceramics and Persian glass within Swahili ruins reveal just how far these African cities reached across the seas. Cultural life along the Swahili coast flourished with refinement and diversity. Music such as terror blended African rhythms with Arab melodies, while poetry, storytelling, and oral traditions thrived alongside written works in Arabic script. Education and faith occupied central places in daily life. Mosques and madrasas trained scholars, jurists, and theologians, linking the Swahili world to intellectual networks stretching from Cairo to Mecca. Islam shaped spiritual life, but it did not erase African customs. Instead, it blended with local traditions to create a distinct and enduring cultural expression. From the 16th century onward, this flourishing world faced profound disruption. The arrival of Portuguese forces, armed with superior naval power and driven by imperial ambition, shattered centuries of balanced trade. Many Swahili cities were attacked, occupied, or forced into decline. Later, Omani dominance, especially in Zanzibar, reshaped political authority and intensified the slave trade, altering the social fabric of the coast. Yet even in the face of conquest and exploitation, Swahili culture did not disappear. It adapted, resisted, and endured. Today, the ruins of Kilwa Kiswahili, the silent stones of Gedi, and the living streets of Zanzibar stone town stand not as symbols of loss, but as monuments to African achievement. The Swahili city-states remind the world that Africa was never isolated or passive. It was dynamic, outward-looking, and central to global history. Africans built cities of stone, governed themselves with sophistication, practiced global trade, and shaped cultures that still live today. In an era where Africa is rediscovering its strength and voice, the Swahili civilization offers more than memory, it offers direction. It teaches the power of cultural confidence, the beauty of unity in diversity, and the importance of African agency on the global stage. The story of the Swahili City-States is not merely a chapter of the past, it is a blueprint for a future rooted in African greatness, global engagement, and enduring pride.